Hey guys, and welcome back to the accumulation zone. Let's get started and take a look at the coming week from October the 22nd until October the 28th. We have news on the calendar. The main news for the euro is going to be the European FOMC statement, the main refinancing rate, and the monetary policy statement. And then half an hour later, we have the ECB press conference. And other than that, we have Powell speaking for the US dollar at 4:35 p.m., so late during the New York PM session. Other than that, on Tuesday, we have 9:45 a.m. PMI news for the US dollar. And earlier during the London kill zone, we have European PMI news. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. All the other ones, you can check them out, note them in your calendar. So now we're right on TradingView, and I'm looking at the SPX here because I want to make something clear that most future traders or index traders are not really aware of. Right here we are on the monthly time frame here of the SP 500 index. Let me go back right here, and we are inside this monthly bullish fair value gap right here. So if I use the middle line, we have that new feature on TradingView now. We can see we almost closed below it here already. Here we have that high, we closed below it. And now if I'm heading over to the futures chart, ES1, where all the old past contracts are added to each other basically, we can see that with contract adjustment on, we're already super far below this monthly bullish fair value gap. But because we just looked at the SPX and we saw that we're at the low of it, I'm going to turn it off. And now it's starting to look more like the CFD SP 500 index, because now we're right at the low of it. That's why if I do my analysis, the contract adjustment is turned off, simply because it lines up with the CFD and all the other ETF trusts. And yeah, I just checked that. I just wanted to show you guys the example because some of you are not aware that if you turn this on, the entire chart looks different. So right here, if we take a look, once again, we took the monthly buy side right here. We took this high if we have it off, and if we have it on, we never got up into this level. So it is a crucial difference. So yeah, make sure to try it out and test it for yourself if you do higher time frame analysis. All right, so we're, like we said, inside this monthly bullish fair value gap. Let me turn on my monthly analysis. We're still inside of it. Last month we were kind of looking for a retracement lower after we kept holding that 50% of this monthly bullish fair value gap. Initially, during the month of October, it looked like we are moving further to the upside, but the last trading week has been a very bearish week, strongly bearish. And this brings us to the low of this monthly bullish fair value gap after having shifted structure to the upside here. We formed a lower low and we broke the most recent lower high. This is a bullish market structure shift paired with a bullish fair value gap. That's pretty interesting. Yet we could also simply continue lower. Let me turn it into a PD array towards the 50% retracement level. And if we now use that analysis and drop it down to the weekly, extend all that out, we can see that we played around above the first quarter of this entire, from the low of the year, or yeah, the low of this, if you want to call it bear market, and a high from the 24th of July after having swept this monthly buy side liquidity. I'm not going to draw it in now. All right, we cleared the short-term low. We shifted structure to the upside on the monthly and weekly time frame. Note how that market structure shift level is lining up with this monthly bullish fair value gap. And if we look at the weekly right here, we see these two lows. Those are relative equal lows, and usually a very good draw on liquidity If we measure from this low to high, that's also roughly the 50% retracement level. So something like this could really be a scenario, in my opinion, where we retrace lower to clear the sell side, go into a discount for higher prices before we continue up during November and December. It is possible we could also just collapse here and take out more sell side, making a new low, break the low of the month of October during 2022. But a retracement, if we do not hold here and we start to see early signs like, let's say, Monday, Tuesday, continuing with that very strong bearish momentum that we currently have on the higher time frames. I mean, if we look at the weekly chart right here, there was no thank God it's Friday setup. Look at this tiny little wick. So that is out of the cards. And if I now turn on my weekly analysis after turning off the monthly, weekly right here, we have these equal lows right here. So this could be potential target sell side liquidity. Let's put that to the right. Potential target sell side liquidity. And on the weekly time frame, we made a lower low. We left behind a inefficiency right here on the weekly time frame. NQ filled it entirely. So NQ has filled in this entire weekly bearish fair value gap. Yes, did not. It never even hit the 50% level. But we also rejected off this new week opening gap right here from August, paired with this inversion fair value gap, which used to be a bullish fair value gap. Up closing candles. We kept holding support here twice before we closed below it, and now we actually kept on holding resistance. Once we closed below the 25% retracement level of this entire range from the bottom to the low, you can also see that once we closed below it, yeah, we had the big new week opening gap towards the 25% level. We closed, we had another gap to the downside, but we sort of kept on opening or closing around this level until we got rejected from it. Now also closing below this weekly old bullish fair value gap where we have been holding some sort of support. Now this right here is a weekly bearish pin bar candle. Couldn't really be more bearish. We could look for something like this, immediate rebalancing of the previous week's low, the week from the 9th of October, to do something like this, because now we're just about to hit an old new week opening gap right here, paired with a bullish fair value gap. And that's really the main area before we get into this little consolidation box. So if I map out this consolidation right here from high to low, we spend more time inside of this range than we did right here. Here we only have inefficiencies, and price could cut through them very easily if it really wants to go for all this weekly, daily, monthly sell side liquidity. So something like this, if we want to continue lower after such a bearish week, is maybe a initial trend lower, just a tiny little bit to sweep that sell side. We have left that behind. A old weekly low, sweep that, and then maybe start to pull back, hit this order block, do immediate rebalance so we do not leave behind a new weekly bearish fair value gap in here, and immediately continue lower to sweep that first weekly low that we have after we broke through this weekly inefficiency. We could also see another bounce up higher to this old inversion fair value gap, reject again of the 25% retracement level. We will see about that. Those are the possibilities we have. It all depends if we hold in this area. Remember, this is also the low of the monthly bullish fair value gap. If I overlap the monthly here, if we manage to hold this area here on the weekly, I think the bullish monthly fair value gap could still hold. So there are two possibilities. We either hold somewhere in this area, continue back up, or we break below it, use it as resistance, and deliver into sell side. So it's really the higher time frame if we look at the ES chart or the SP 500 index. And if we drop it down one last time to the daily time frame, I will quickly, let me redraw all this. And if I now remove my weekly analysis and I plot my daily analysis, we also have to update that. That's a monthly. Let me also turn off the monthly. I do not want to see that right now. There we go. So we cleared this daily sell side liquidity. Afterwards, we displaced theoretically to the upside. We didn't really leave behind many daily bullish fair value gaps. We made a higher low, but we failed to make a higher high. And now we're just, we took off to the downside starting on Wednesday. We did not clear the previous week's high. This is the previous week's high. First day's high from last week, or from the previous week. We didn't clear that. We displaced to the downside. We closed below it, now leaving behind a new daily bearish fair value gap. And if we manage to close below this low, we could also look at a breaker block. We made a lower high, lower low, higher high, lower low. Just basically a unicorn setup, which could really help us to deliver into this weekly sell side. We also have these almost perfect daily equal lows right here. And then we have some daily sell side liquidity also below this low. So those are the targets to the downside. And like we spoke about on the weekly time frame, where we want to see immediate rebalancing. Now everything is lining up very nicely. Do the immediate rebalance on the weekly time frame, fill in this daily bearish fair value gap, and continue lower to clear the sell side, and maybe see if we can break through these bullish fair value gaps to hit the sell side liquidity at 4172. So remember, we've been on the weekly time frame and we wanted to see this candle or price to trade back into this candle, so we do not leave behind a weekly bearish fair value gap. That's lining up perfectly with our daily bearish fair value gap. So if we get a retracement from here, maybe we clear that sell side first, retrace, let price deliver efficiently, and then continue lower. We do not have to clear this low, and we could retrace, so this is a possibility and something to watch out for during the next trading week. And if we break that, move that up to the weekly, okay, it's disappearing, unfortunately. Let me plot it on the weekly. Yeah, we would roughly retrace to the opening price of this weekly candle, which is also the low of previous week's new week opening gap. So this is really where things align. Right here we have a new week opening gap. I'm going to be drawing this one in. New week opening gap. Template, new week opening gap. Done. And the 50% of that new week opening gap. Is it right here? That's right here. We closed and we opened. Pretty sure if I drop it down to a 1 hour time frame. Yep, we close right here. And we open up right there. That's okay. All right, so yeah, getting somewhere into this daily bearish fair value gap. We have the 50% of this daily bearish fair value gap paired with the old new week opening gap. We will see if we open with one maybe below this low already. Only time will tell. This is our daily immediate rebalancing level. Let's drag all my make orders a little bit closer. And now I think we should really be ready for next week. We're well prepared. We have a game plan. We know the new schedule. So we will see what's going to happen. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me on Discord. And until then, I will see you on Monday's live stream. Alright guys, take care and enjoy the rest of your Sunday night.